knitters, welcome. This is the Cozy Sky Knits podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth, coming to you from Georgetown, Texas, where I live with my mother, Nancy, and my two senior cockapoos, Sullivan and Griffin. Sullivan's about to have a birthday this week on Friday. He will be 16, so hard to believe that I've had him that long. But anyway, this is primarily a knitting podcast. I will pretty much follow the standard format of going through my finished objects, what I'm wearing, finished objects, works in process, any stash enhancements or things, a little bit of chit chat might get thrown in. Sometimes I shoot a little B-roll and throw that in. And anyway, the intent is to just spend some time with you. Hopefully you can grab a cozy drink and a project and just spend a little time chatting or listening to me chat with you, and you can work on a project and hopefully make some progress. So if that sounds appealing to you, grab your drink and cozy on up and let's get started. So it's been a few weeks since my last podcast, and I apologize for that. I had intended to podcast sooner, but I've had a few things that happened. First, I had to make a work trip for a week to Chicago and had very cold weather and a storm that came in that was canceling flights back, and I was worried I wasn't going to get back. So that was a little bit stressful. And then I had to turn around the following week and go to Dallas for a few days. And I got into an automobile accident in Dallas, which I will tell you about later. That was, anyway, a little bit traumatic for me, but kind of delayed some of my podcasting intent. So I do apologize for being gone for a few weeks. I try to do episodes every 2 weeks. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with what I'm wearing. So this is an oldie but a goodie. I knit this in 2021. It is the Comfort Fade Cardi by Andrea Mowry of Andrea Renee Knits. And this is a really super cozy cardigan that is done in a fade. And I had a lot of fun with this. I knit it in, actually I made a size small. The gauge on it is 21 stitches and 32 rows per 4 inches. I used a US 6 or 4.0 millimeter needle for the body and a US 5 or 3.75 millimeter for the ribbing on it. So it is super cozy. It's done in reverse stockinette, so you're knitting it inside out so that you're not doing the purling. And then you're flipping it, and then the afterwards, after all the body and everything is done, you pick up stitches along the edges and you knit this beautiful shawl collar that's done in garter stitch. So, and I actually have just this, I'll show you this too. So this is a, it's actually a hair stick that I got years ago. It came with 2 of them to put your hair in a bun, and then you just kind of stick it into your hair. But I found a secondary use for it, and I use it as a shawl pin. So, anyway, I just kind of will cross it over. If I have cardigans that don't have buttons on them and I want it closed, I'll just stick this in it. I actually love it. So I think it's really pretty. You can see the beads on it and the beautiful wood. So I've had these for a while. Anyway, back to the cardigan. So yeah, like I said, the construction is top down. It's got Raglan shaping. And then you can see as you're fading, well, maybe the sleeve's better. You can see the fade through. So you start with the lighter and then work down into more of a medium tone, down into your darker tones, and then back out. So the sleeves are, I would say, pretty fitted. I think I find that pretty much true with most of Andrea Mowry's patterns. I think her sleeves tend to run a little bit snugger, but I usually wear this either with a long sleeve t-shirt or a short sleeve t-shirt underneath. So if it's a long sleeve tee, the sleeve is, tighter anyway, so it doesn't bother me with the snugness. But I'll try to stand up and you can see a little bit more of it. It is a longer cardigan for me. It's not cropped at all. It comes down like to my thighs. In the front, kind of angles down a bit. So, but I knit this using yarn from Nice and Knit, who's unfortunately no longer dying yarn. But I knit it in the colors Ahoy, September, Shawl, and Surf. And I think the light one is Surf, but I'm not sure. I don't remember the sequence of it. But anyway, I just think it's beautiful. And you can kind of see here all the different shades and how big that shawl collar is. Shawl collar actually is done to it's in garter stitch, but there are short rows to get that beautiful shaping in it. So anyway, that's what the inside looks like. You can kind of see the fading a little bit better on the inside, I think. And then it kind of what would you say, fades out a little bit more, or kind of just blends in a little bit more on the reverse stockinette side. So I do like this cardigan a lot, and like I said, I knit it in 2021 and I've worn it a lot, and it's holding up really well. So highly recommend that pattern. And my friend Sasha has made it back from the garage. We had her in the garage for the holidays because it was so cold. And I didn't have the room in here, and so I just shoved her outside in my garage. I felt terrible. But anyway, she is wearing a shawl that I knit by Locatelli, and it is the Odyssey shawl. I made that back in 2019, so that was a while ago too. And it was done on a US 8 or 5.0 millimeter needle, and it was actually a free pattern. I think it still is a free pattern from Locatelli, kind of as a payback to the knitting community for supporting her all the years as a designer. So I thought that was very nice. It's a DK weight shawl, and it is a crescent shape, and it's done with garter stitch, and then these beautiful sections of lace after each color. There's a lace section. So this is the garter, then a lace section, more garter, lace section, what have you, and then it's finished off with a little bit of a picot edge on the bind off. So, and it's, like I said, crescent shape. It's more of a elongated crescent shape, and I get a lot of use out of that shape of shawl. It's actually one of my most favorite shapes for shawls, because I can wear it around my shoulders if it's chilly, or if I want more warmth on my neck, I'll turn it and, you know, start this way and then wrap it around my neck. So that's what we're wearing. So let's talk about some of my finished objects. I actually have 4 finished objects today, but only 3 to show, because one of mine I gifted when I went to Chicago. I knit a pair of socks on my circular sock machine for one of my coworkers. She made me some Christmas cookies, and I gave her some socks in return. So I knit them out of Suburban Stitcher sock in the colorway Flutter, and I will insert a picture here so you can see what those looked like. They turned out pretty cute, and she was really happy with them. It was her first pair of handmade socks, so she liked them. My next finished object, I have 3 garments, 1 that you've seen and 2 that you have not. So I have been, even though I've been away for a bit, I have been knitting quite a bit. So, but anyway, my second finished object, first garment, is my Rimfrost vest by Carrie, Rasmussen for Phil Colonna. And it's another free pattern. And this is a sport weight vest. The gauge on it is 28 stitches and 30 rows per 4 inches. And the construction is bottom up, and it's a beautiful lace pattern, which is a little bit difficult to see, but there you go. So you start at the bottom, and you knit this in 2 pieces. You knit a front section and a back section, bottom up, and you do some shaping at the neck as you finish, or as you get to the top of each section. And then after both sections are complete, you connect them with a 3 needle bind off at the shoulder seams. So it's turned out really pretty. I knit this in La Bien Aimée. I used 2 different bases in the same colorway. So I use the Helix base, which is 770 yards per 100 grams. So it's lace weight, and it's 75% Falkland merino and 25% Gotland wool. And I love the base. It's really got a nice springy feel to it. And it's really beautiful. The colorway I used for the entire garment in both bases is Winterfell. And if you'll notice, this is actually done in Winterfell as well. So this is, I don't know if I mentioned, this is La Bien Aimée DK, merino DK. And this colorway was Winterfell. So, and then I held the Helix with a strand of mohair, and it was the Soyu base, also by La Bien Aimée in Winterfell, 459 yards per 50 grams, and it's 64% kid mohair and 36% silk. So it's a little bit of a thicker yarn, thicker mohair, I should say. I am really happy with it, but I have to tell you that after I finished it, I realized I actually have really narrow shoulders, and I probably should have just knit maybe a smaller size or left off a repeat, because it actually comes down over my shoulders. And then it's meant to be open, and then you knit some I-cord ties, and then it ties at the sides. And I should have known this about myself, but a few years ago I made another top that was open like that, and I actually in the end ended up sewing it together because I didn't like it being open, because I felt it just like flopped all the time on me. And I was going to just put buttons on it, but I really decided with the way that this fit that it fit me more like a T. So I ended up just mattress stitching the sides together, which worked out fine because you are slipping a stitch on the edging to get a really pretty edging. So it was really super easy for me to just mattress stitch them up, and it didn't take long at all. So that's what I did. I will go ahead and put in a little bit of B-roll so you can see this on me with a shirt underneath. I like to wear it with a white blouse or a t-shirt. If I want it to be dressier for work, I wear a white blouse, collared blouse underneath it with black pants, and it looks really pretty. So anyway, overall, very happy with the garment. Just ended up being a little bit different than what I originally thought it was going to be, but that's okay. I know now to remember that I like my garments to be closed on the sides. And this, I don't know if you can see that halo. It's so beautiful, these yarns together. So anyway, that was a very nice pattern, and it was fun. It was engaging. I did have to pay attention because it's lace, but it wasn't hard at all. And it was just a good, kind of a good different type project for me to work on. So very happy with that. My next finished object is one that you haven't seen yet, and I just cast this on actually last Sunday. So today is Sunday, February 8th, and I cast this on the 1st of February, and I just needed something more in stockinette, and I had purchased this yarn from Knit ATX, one of the local yarn stores here in Austin, Texas. And it is Cascade Yarns Cantata, and it's 70% cotton and 30% superwash merino wool. And it is a blown yarn, so it's the cotton core with the merino blown in. And I had never knit with this before, but I got it on sale, I think, during the yarn crawl, and I liked the color, which is color 27. I think it's called strawberry or berry, maybe. I don't know. There's no name on the tag, but anyway, I don't think this yarn is available anymore anyway. So, but the sweater that I knit is the Coffee Run by Veronika Linberg, or of Kutavakika, and it is from her book, which I had purchased last year, her book called Knits to Wear. And this was one of the patterns that I really liked in the book, and one of the reasons that I went ahead and bought the book. And it is a top-down raglan construction, and you do twisted ribbing for the collar, and then the twisted ribbing detail continues down the raglan and then down the body along the sides. So it gives a nice detail. And I would say the feel and the kind of the style of the sweater is like putting on a sweatshirt. And I don't know if it's a combination of the yarn and the pattern, but it's really nice. And I actually made this for my mom, so it makes me happy I made it for her. But I really love it, and I can't get this yarn again. So I am going to make myself one because I do like the fit of the sweater. It's just really cozy, and I have a lot of yarn, so I'm going to try to put together two different yarns, probably maybe a mohair and a fingering weight, and make myself one as well. So, and it's long sleeve, and then it's got the twisted rib on the bottom and on the cuffs, and I did the tubular bind off. One modification I made is that there was supposed to be one more decrease on the sleeve. I chose not to do it because we kind of wanted a little bit of a looser sleeve. So, interesting thing, the gauge on this is 18 stitches and 25 rows per 4 inches, and it's the garment is supposed to have 4 to 6 inches of positive ease. I don't know if I said I made a size small. This yarn is actually considered an Aran weight yarn, but I was able to get gauge. I just had to switch my needle. The needle that the pattern recommends is a US 8 for the main body and a US 2.5, which is 3.0 millimeters for the ribbing, which seemed like a huge jump from a US 8 to a US 2.5 for ribbing. I don't, just seemed like too big of a jump for me. But anyway, to get gauge on the main, in the stockinette portion, I used a US 9 or 5.5 millimeters. And then for the ribbing, I went down just to a US 7 or 4.5 millimeters. And again, I just liked the look of that better. I didn't want the ribbing to pull in too much. And I wanted a little bit of a wider cuff on the sleeve, so kind of looser. So anyway, that's that. Quick, very quick project. It was a pleasure to knit. The pattern's super clear. It was just a lot of fun, and I would do it again. And then my last finished object is also a pattern, well, not a pattern, some yarn that I got in December, if you recall. I think it was not my everything I did in 2025 video, but my end of the year video, my last real full podcast. I showed some yarn that I received from a friend of mine in Michigan who sent it to me, and it was yarn that had belonged to one of our friends that passed away a few years ago. Anyway, it was 2 skeins of Noro Ito, and here's the ball bands. And I had 2 skeins. One was color number 8, and that was called Cabaret, and the other one was color 15, which was Matsumoto. I don't know, but this is considered an Aran weight yarn. It's 437 yards per 200 grams, and it's 100% wool. It's more of a thick and thin yarn, so Aran weight, you can really get a lot of different gauges. I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough, and so I had some scraps of yarn. I thought I could stripe with it or whatever, but it ended up that I didn't need to. What I did is I used some Fiber Co. scraps that I had. I had a little bit left over from, I think it was my Douglas Cardi that I made a few years ago. It was a striped Cardi, and I had this olive green color. I think the colorway is called Earthy. And Fiberco Lore is 273 yards per 100 grams. So that's considered a DK weight. But these two pretty much knit up the same to me. So what I did, I didn't really follow a pattern. I have so many Raglan Raglan style sweaters in my library, and a lot of patterns. So I just kind of goodness, I'm having trouble with words. Gazed through a few of them and determined kind of what stitch counts I liked for some of the fits of the sweaters that I've made or, that I've seen in the past. So I cast on, 72 stitches for the collar. And what I did is I knit 10 rows in ribbing, then I knit 1 purl round and flipped the collar down, before flipping down, I knit another 10 rows, and I flipped it down, and then I joined the collar together with the original cast on. And then I started the Raglan shaping right after that. You can see here where it starts. And then I joined in the Noro Ito, and I just went to town. So the 2 different colorways, I actually, I just switched every so many rows, whatever I felt like, whatever I thought was looking good. Really no exact, it wasn't like 10 rows here, 10 rows there, 5 rows here. It just, whenever I felt that like the colors needed to change up a bit to blend in, I made the changes, and I'm so happy with it. I think it's super cute. It's very fun. You can see the sleeves, and I didn't really do, there are 50 stitches on the sleeves, and I didn't do any decreases, and it's kind of like a wider cuff at the bottom of the sleeve, which I really like, because I didn't want it to be too hot. So I wanted some air to be able to get into the sweater. But you can see the sleeves don't match identically, which is okay, but they definitely coordinate. So I haven't washed this yet. I've just steam blocked it, but I have worn it several times. We had a really cold stint here in Texas, and we had a bad storm with ice and sleet and stuff, and it was really cold for a few days. So I actually wore this quite a bit during that storm period. So, and it looks really cute with jeans. I've also worn it for work with like some khaki pants. It looks really cute too. So anyway, so that is my final FO. And like I said, you hadn't seen this as a cast on or a whip. It just jumped right on my needles and back off my needles since my last podcast. So. This is all I have left of the 2 skeins of the Ito. So I did a really good job of utilizing all of that yarn. So as far as whips, I don't have a lot to actually on my needles because I've been finishing things. So, but I did do a little bit of work on my gnome that I had shown before, and it's called the Someone to Write Gnome About Mini by Sarah Shira. And let's see, I'll show you the picture. That's the picture of the little guy, his socks. And this I bought as a kit from Stacy of Mustache Yarns, and it came with a self-striping skein as well as two solids. This will be for his beard and nose, and this will be for his body, and this is the self-striping. So I have not been enjoying this project. I did not like knitting this little tiny thing and the decreases and increases, and I just didn't enjoy it. I don't know. But I persevered, and I did finally get the hat done. So I considered that an accomplishment, and then I gave myself a break from it. But I think this week my goal is to get the body cast on and try to get it finished, because I don't think it's really going to take that long. It's just fiddly, but I should be able to get through it. So I don't know what the colors are. Oh, yes, I do. Sorry. This is Komoribi? I have no idea how you pronounce it. That's the self-striping. The purple color is boysenberry, and then the cream color is just natural, undyed. So he'll be cute once he's done, and I'll be happy once he's done. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not like a little stuffy knitter type person. I don't know. It is in a really cute bag though, a little gnome bag that I have. The other whip I have is a pair of socks that I cast on. Just plain vanilla socks. I had some leftover yarn from, I made a pair of boot cuffs, I don't know, a few months ago with Rosa Pomar Mondim. And the colorway is 203. I don't know if there's a name on the colorway, but anyway, this is the yarn. So maybe you'll recall that from one of my previous episodes if you're a returning viewer. And I am basically just knitting a vanilla sock, and I have one sock done. So you can see that here. And I'm using some leftover yarn. If I can find the label. Here it is. Some leftover yarn from my bin of scraps. This is from Hazel Knits Artisan Sock, which is hand-dyed fingering, 90% superwash merino and 10% nylon, and the colorway is Quill, which is a beautiful gray, charcoal gray tonal. It's really a pretty yarn. It's one of my favorite grays that I've ever used. And so I only had 62 grams of this main yarn, and so I thought I needed to do heels and cuffs, or not cuffs, heels and toes in a contrast color, and so that's what I chose, and I think it's turning out pretty good. So I cast on just a plain vanilla sock. So I cast on 64 stitches. I did a German twisted cast on, which is one that I really like when I'm doing my socks top down because of the stretch that it provides. And then I did a 3x1 rib for I think 20 rows. Then I just knit plain until I thought I'd be able to get 2 socks done. And then I switched my yarn, and I did my heel flap and my heel turn in the Hazel Knits yarn. And I did a slip stitch heel flap, and I followed Denise, Earth Tone Girls, Denise Santos. DeSantis. Sorry, I knew there was a Sant in there. Denise DeSantis, her, she has in her book that I got, which I'll show as one of my acquisitions, but she recommends when you do your slip stitch heel to actually, instead of slipping the stitch purlwise, to slip it knitwise. And what that does is it twists the stitch and it helps to keep it tight and it helps for durability. So this is my first time trying that, so we'll see. It feels really sturdy, and so I'm pretty happy with that. And then I just did a basic toe. And I am now on the second sock. I was knitting these yesterday. I did the start of the heel yesterday and then just finished the rest of it while I was watching the Olympics. So I don't know if any of you are watching the Olympics, but I love the Olympics, and I was watching all the figure skating and the big air snowboarding jump stuff and the alpine skiing, and oh, I just love it. I love all that competition. So just knit furiously as I'm watching some of the races. Oh, and the speed skating. I love the speed skating. That I can't wait for the short track speed skating. To me, that is such a nerve-wracking event to watch, because it's just like one little slip and it can take the whole field out when they just slide on that ice, and oh, it just looks so dangerous to me, but it's kind of invigorating to watch it at the same time. But anyway, so I cast on the second sock. Oh, and I get these cute new stitch stoppers. These are my Valentine cupcakes, which are really cute. And so yeah, I did the rib on the second sock, and now I'm in the leg. So maybe, who knows? Today there's more Olympics to watch and the Super Bowl, so maybe I'll get the second sock done tonight. Who knows? That's all I really want to work on right now. So anyway, that is all that I really have active on my needles. I do have some other languishing whips that I need to get back to, and so maybe next week you will see one of those coming back into rotation, and I'll try to spend some time on that. So, and that being my rose cardigan from Andrea Mowry. So I need to get back to that because I do really want that finished object. So, and that's pretty much it for my whips. So I don't really have too many acquisitions. I'm really trying to knit stash and also use patterns that I already have. I have so many patterns in my library, and I don't know, nothing against designers, but a lot of the patterns that I see coming out are beautiful, and the yarns they're using is beautiful, but it's a lot of the same type of sweater, like classic Raglan V-neck cardigan or classic Raglan pullovers and things like that, and they're just switching the yarn, changing the striping sequence, and I don't feel the need personally to purchase multiple patterns of that same construction, same thing, where just the yarn is changing, maybe the gauge is changing. You know, I can kind of do that math myself. If there's other details, then certainly I would purchase patterns, but otherwise I'm trying to utilize some of the stuff that I have in my stash, meaning both yarns and patterns and pattern books. So, but I did get one new book, and it is the No Fear Sock Knitting by Denise DeSantis. And I've been kind of thumbing through this, and it looks like it's a really nice reference book, and she's got some cute patterns in here as well. She talks about fit, and yeah, so I'm really happy with this purchase. I can't wait to continue and maybe knit a couple of her actual patterns. So I know I've knit one of her patterns before, and she writes a really nice sock pattern. So very excited, and I was happy to get that little tip about the heel flap. So I'll let you know how that ends up wearing. The other acquisition that I have is some mohair that I picked up from, I think, the Modern Skein in Houston area, and this is just some Sandusgarn Tin Silk mohair. And the colorway is Deep Marine, so it's a really dark navy. And this, I think I'm going to use for my rosy pullover, but I'm not sure. I wasn't sure why I thought I needed this, and I saw it, I think it was on sale. Thought I needed it, and I don't exactly remember what for. Maybe that sweater, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's always good to have mohair on hand to mix with fingering and stuff, so you can use up more stash. So I got 4 skeins of that. And then one other thing that I wanted to share is something that I got, I don't know, a few months ago. And these are little things that I just found very useful. They're little sticky notes, but they're little strips. And there's like a whole bunch in each pack. I got a multi-pack that had all different colors because I couldn't decide what color. So I think I have like 800 little strips. But what I like about them is that they peel off, and you can mark your, I use paper patterns a lot. So, and sometimes books, and I don't want to write in my book, in the actual book. If I make a copy of a pattern, I don't mind writing on a paper copy, but I don't like to write in my books because I like to preserve them. But you can see they come off like this, and then they just go right on your, I have a note here. Sorry about that crinkling, but you can stick it right on your note, and like you can mark a spot on your pattern like that. So it's kind of like, I've had that highlighter tape before. It's similar to that, but these are actually already pre-cut, and you just stick them on, and then you can move them along. It helps you to keep track. They're really useful if you're working from a chart, because you can move it just up and down the rows. So I don't know, I just find them really nice, and I thought I would mention them. I got them just on Amazon. I don't even know what I Googled. I'll try to put a link in, but these were just little, yeah, I got the multi-pack, so I probably have a lifetime supply of them. But they were, I think, $6 or something like that. Ridiculous. So anyway, I don't feel too guilty about it. But that's it. That's all the acquisitions that I have. So just a little bit of chit chat now, a little life update. I mentioned that I was in an automobile accident. Fortunately, I was not injured. Nobody was injured, so that's the good news. But I want to share with you what happened. I was in Dallas driving on a highway, and we have express lanes that sometimes you get on them, you don't realize you've even gotten on them, and you have to get off in plenty of time to get off at your exits. So I was in the process of getting off the express lane because I didn't need to be on it. There was not a whole lot of traffic the time of day. When I was driving, I was heading to a customer's for a training session. I had flown in an engineer from Kentucky for this training, and I was supposed to meet him there with this demo. Anyway, as I was getting off, it happened so fast, it's like a total blur, but my lane was ending, and I thought the merge was complete, but this fuel tanker came up, and he tried to get around another car, and I don't know, he just missed me, but then his tail, he swerved back, he swerved like this, and swerved over, realized I was there, swerved back, and missed me, but as he was swerved back, his tail end caught my front right bumper on my passenger side and just ripped it off. And he kept going. So here's where the story is not good. My adrenaline kicked in, and I was like, my car was still moving. It didn't do anything to the wheel. It could have been so much worse. I could have been killed. The tank could have exploded. I mean, there were so many things that could have happened. So I'm thanks to God that did not happen to me. But I went into automatic mode. My adrenaline kicked in, and I'm like, was furious. This guy hit me, and he didn't stop. He just kept going. And what did I do? I followed him. That was so stupid. I don't know why I did it, but I was not thinking. Literally, just adrenaline was running through me, and I was just in shock probably. And I just followed him, called 911 in the process, was talking to the 911 operator, told her it wasn't her, but that this guy had hit me, he was running, blah, blah, blah. She's taking all this information. Can you get the license plate? I'm like, I can't get close enough. And I mean, it just happened so quickly. And then I think I was honking my horn at him, and then he finally, I think, realized he needed to stop or get over. So he did get off at the next exit or two and pulled into a gas station. I was still shaking so much, though, that he pulled into this gas station had kind of like pull in one side and out the other. And so he pulled in, and he just kind of parked along the edge. And I pulled in and around, and I T-boned him in, so he couldn't go anywhere. What was I thinking? I don't know. I wasn't thinking at all. But anyway, it turned out it was okay. Nothing happened to me, obviously. And I had called the police, and the police were on their way. So, but we did have to wait like 2 hours for the police to get there. And then they told us that, oh yeah, we don't even write up police reports anymore. I'm like, what? We waited for 2 hours? I said, I asked if we had, because I called back after an hour and a half and said, are they coming, or should we just come to the police station, And they said, no, you have to wait there. So I said, okay. So we did. And then when the policeman got there, he said, no, we don't even write this up anymore. Just exchange information. I'll make sure you do that. Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, lesson learned. Don't let your adrenaline get the best of you, because it could have been a really dangerous situation. And so do as I say, not as I did would be my advice on that. And I have to make sure that I don't just like let my instincts just take over. I really have to be a little bit smarter on the road. So, but the whole thing really shook me up, and I lost some sleep over it. I kept waking up in the mornings, like middle of the night, early mornings, you know, in a panic, like that I was getting hit again. And I don't know why, because it wasn't that bad of a crash, but it just, I guess maybe the thought of what could have happened is like stuck in my head. So I don't know. We have so many aggressive drivers, and it's terrible. And I'm on the road a lot. So anyway, but the whole thing actually spurred along with my company that now I was due anyway for a new car. So I have to go buy a car, and we get car allowance and a fuel card. So I had to get a new car. So now it kind of delayed that because I had to get the car fixed. So then I was like, do I get it fixed and report the claim? And it just became this whole ordeal. And I just wanted the whole thing to go away. But it didn't. So I had to deal with it. But it took me like 2 weeks to get myself calmed down enough and to be able to think logically and smartly and what have you. But I ended up, got a recommendation for a body shop. I took it to a guy to get an estimate, and the insurance claim was filed, but I didn't file the damage on my car. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I took it and got this estimate from a guy at a body shop, so I knew what I was dealing with. And then the next week I went car shopping, knowing what it was going to take for me to out of pocket get it fixed versus get it fixed through my insurance company, pay my deductible, have my rates go up, blah, blah, blah. So you get the picture. Anyway, and the time frame, because if I didn't get my new car in a certain time frame, I start to lose my car allowance through work. So there were all these things. So I was like putting dollars in buckets and seeing which way the bucket went. And anyway, I went to the Nissan dealer because I had a Nissan Rogue, and I went and looked at those, and they were going to make me a decent offer for the trade-in, but they did tell me if I got it fixed that the trade-in value would be like $3,000 higher. So I was like, okay. But again, the time of doing that, how much money would I lose by having to wait and what have you? So then I also went to a Toyota dealership, and I had been considering another hybrid vehicle. I used to have actually my mom has it now, but I had a Toyota Prius V, which is the bigger wagon one. And they don't make that anymore, but we love that engine on that car is really great. So I was thinking about getting another hybrid, and I really wanted to look at the Toyotas. So I ended up getting a Toyota RAV4. It's a bright red, which is not me. I usually go for very low-key cars like gray, white, silver, you know, that kind of thing. But anyway, this was the one that they had. It was actually a dealer demo that had like 3,000 miles on it. So it was a really good deal. It's got stuff on it I probably never would have put on a car because I just wouldn't spend the money on it because I'm not a car person. But again, negotiated a really good deal, and then I got them to get my trade-in up to full value without me fixing it. So I am now the proud owner of a new Toyota RAV4 hybrid with the sunroof and all these fancy things that I probably will never use, but I got a really good deal on it. So good ending to that whole saga. So other than that, not too much going on. My mom's busy doing puzzles. We're, like I said, enjoying the Olympics, getting ready for Super Bowl today. We're going to watch that. And I just have a bunch of snacks. And I don't know, do you guys have any favorite foods that you have that you eat during Super Bowl? Or do you even watch the Super Bowl? A lot of people don't even watch it. But I'm going to watch it. I love football. I like college football better, but I will watch the Super Bowl. And the Olympics. Let me know if you watch the Olympics. I love both Winter and Summer Olympics. So I remember being a kid and just sitting like in my basement watching the Olympics, just every event, every second of every event, and just thinking, I wonder if when I'm old, I'll still watch the Olympics. Well, now I'm old and I still watch the Olympics. So it's somewhat comforting. So I don't know if you guys enjoy them or not, but I'm always rooting for for the country that's hosting, as well as, of course, our country and our neighboring country, so Canada too. So anyhow, and oh, I'm so sad because Lindsey Vonn blew her knee out, and then she still decided to compete. And then I just heard this morning that she had to get airlifted, and she hurt her shoulder and her leg, and so she's out completely again. But that's sad. She was making a comeback, and I just really admire her perseverance and her courage, and what she does for the love of her sport. It's amazing to me. So anyway, that's it. I don't have much else. If you're still here, thanks for hanging in and listening to me rattle on about what happened. And I hope to be back in a couple of weeks. I am getting ready I have a special episode that I'm in the process of knitting some stuff for that has to do with socks. And then also I'm trying to think of some good stuff to do for the knit-a-thon that's coming up in March. So I will be participating in that with the Traveling Miss Knits, Pia. And I'm so excited to take part in that again. And anyway, I hope that you had some time to work on your project and that you enjoyed chatting with me and seeing my works, my finished objects. And I will catch up with you soon, hopefully in another 2 weeks. And we will see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.